4 pi, right? Okay, so let me keep going. So we said that this was pi, so we can actually cut it off here. We'll cut that off there. All right, now let me start again. And if I start here, I go and that's about another radian. Okay, and then let me keep going. Okay, that's about another radian. And another radian there. And then, of course, we're left with this other tiny spot right there. All right, so halfway around the circle is pi, okay, and then the full way around the circle, so if I went from here all the way back around, it would be 2 pi. Okay, so all the way around the circle is 2 pi. Half a circle is pi. All right, I know that's a lot to take in, but the two biggest things is that a radius is the length around a circumference, or a radian is a radius's length around the circumference, so these little green spots between each line, and then a pi, or pi, is halfway around the circle, or the semicircle, the amount of radians in a semicircle, that is pi. And of course, well, we can't round this, so we can't just say, oh, it's 3. Right, because that's not pi, it's 3.14159 dot dot dot. So we can't just round it to 3. We have to say, well, we have to account for that little piece right there that is missing. Right, so how does this help us, right? How does this help us fill in this unit circle? What does this unit circle even mean? Well, we can start right here. Let's start, we'll do it in red. Okay. All right. At 0 degrees, remember, in a circle, we said that there's 360 degrees. So we know that 0 degrees and 360 degrees are pretty much the same thing. All right. At 0 degrees, how many radians do I have? Well, there's 0. Right? There's 0 radians at 0 degrees. Or we said, on the way back, if I went the full way, so this purple, how many did I get? I got 2 pi. So 360 degrees would be 2 pi radians, or 0 radians, depending on which direction you're going. All right, so this unit circle has to do with degrees, radians, and then we'll get to the coordinate points. That'll be later on this week, but we have the degrees and the radians. All right, next natural place to look. If I followed the semicircle, so if I started here, I have 0 degrees, and then on the other side I would have, obviously, 180 degrees. And we said, at 180 degrees, or halfway around, what do I get? This dark green? I have pi. So, 180 degrees, I get pi. At 0 degrees, I had 0 or 360. Go ahead and erase this line. Okay, we have our 2 sides right there. And we'll fill in a few more. And then that's it for today. All right, a few more. Again, let's start at 0. If we're not going to go all the way around the semicircle, let's go halfway. So start here, go halfway. What is this? Well, this is a right angle. All right, we'll see a lot of right angles this unit. This is a right angle, which means that this is how many degrees? Answer 90. 90 degrees. At 90 degrees, if this whole thing, so if I went to the semicircle, that whole thing is pi. Well, if I take this and divide it by 2, because that would be 90 degrees, what am I left with? This would be pi over 2, or 1/2 pi. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. We could keep going here. We said that from here, well, if this whole thing is 360, if this whole thing is 180, that's 180. What would this one be? 180 plus another 90 would be 270. So I can zoom in here and I can write in 270 degrees. All right, 270 degrees. Again, that is 90 plus the 180 gives me 270. My radian there would be 3 pi over 2. What this is 1.5 pi. Essentially, we know that this is 1 pi, and this is 2 pi. So what's in the middle? 1.5 pi. Right? Same thing up here. If this is no pi, and this is 1 pi, what's in the middle? Half pi, or pi over 2. Alright, let me get rid of some of these lines. Get rid of this one. Get rid of that one. Alright, we could fill in a few more as well. Well, if this is 90, if this whole thing is 90, I know that half of that would be this one, which is 45 degrees. Alright, and if I half pi over 2, I'm going to get pi over 4. Again, that's pi over 2 divided by 2, or pi over 2 times 1/2, which is pi over 4. Okay, which is pi over 4. Alright, so that's the amount of radians there, and I could keep going over here. This one's a little bit more challenging. Again, I know that this whole thing is 90. The rest of this is 90. So what's between 90 and 180? That would be 135. Okay. And one has 3 pi over 4. Okay, that would be 3/4 of pi. This 3/4 of the way, so we can call it 3/4 of pi. Down here, for the sake of time, I'll speed this up a little bit. We would have 225. Okay, and over here, we would have 315, or 315 degrees. Radians wise, let's see, this is pi, and this is 3 over 2 pi. Okay. And then the other side, the 315 would be 7 pi over 4, which I wrote 7, 4.